Had a little listen to his podcast, huh?
Dude, it's educational. And besides, I've been wanting to listen to this one.
Welcome to Idling in the Impala, a podcast by and for lovers of supernatural and the fan fiction it inspires. Before we begin, just want to remind you to follow us wherever you listen so you don't miss any episodes or bonus content. If you love what we do and want an easy way to show your support, please consider leaving us a positive that's all the stars rating on your favorite listening platform. It helps SPN and fanfic lovers find us and share in the fun. I'm Sandra.
I'm Kasey, and this week we're looking at coded things. What does it mean to be X-coded or a Y girl, gender neutral?
We should probably start with how this came about. What were we doing one day, or what were you doing one day that then led to this?
I did the quiz.
You did the quiz. What was the quiz? Yes, that's what started it.
Oh, right. Yeah, no. So I actually fell down the rabbit hole. I think I was on Discord or somewhere. And people talking about being like X-coded and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't understand what this means. Like, send help. I'm confused. Mm-hmm. I went through it and I found this Tumblr post, and we're going to talk about the Tumblr post in a minute. And a quiz was mentioned. So I went through like a bajillion of this particular Tumblr user's post to find the quiz. And it was a supernatural based one. Like, of the three main characters, like Dean, Sam, and Cass, were like, which coded are you and what girl are you? Again, gender neutral. So I did the quiz and I got, hang on, is it a document?
Are you going to say it now or are you going to wait?
We'll do, wait. Okay, no, we'll wait.
What do you think? What do you think makes more sense?
I don't mind. Can I just disclaimer for everybody? At time of recording, it's really fucking hot in the UK. And I know that if you look it up, you'd be like, oh my God, there's like winter weather. Yeah, we don't have fucking AC, all right? Our house is designed to keep the heat in because it's fucking shitty weather over here. So it's really hot. And although I have my fan on, I can't open my windows because it's hot. And so my neighbors and the kids are outside and everything. But editing Sandra will shiv me. And also, the cat is being the cutest that he's been in so long. So when I'm not thinking about the heat, I'm just looking at him and he's looking at me and I'm looking at him and he's looking at me and I just love him so much, you guys.
There's a lot of distraction going on. Yes, indeed.
I just love this boy.
Yes, indeed.
Adorable. He's so adorable. He's laid on the closest corner of the bed to me, looking a little bit like a croissant at the moment. Just all limbs and pink ears because he's hot as well. So if I lose my train of thought or the intro is wank, which it is, and I'm sorry about that, that's why.
I think when you had you'd been chatting, I think, with Dreamer, right? And then I think you were both of you need to take this quiz.
Yeah, I chatted with Dreamer about it, and she was like, "No, I don't like those quizzes. I don't like giving that personal information." And I was like, "It's just weird ass questions." But I brought it to you as well. I put it in our Discord mod chat, and I was like, "Oh my God, Sandra, you have to do this quiz." I'm still a fucking millennial who grew up on all of the "what X are you?" what kind of fucking pie are you, and which member of Supernatural would you date? And I grew up on those BuzzFeed quizzes. I fucking love them.
I think I'm still confused. I still don't understand it. And I was like, Kasey, I really don't get this yet. Because I've heard it before. And I think my assumption was coded and girl were kind of the same thing. So I classify myself as a Dean girl, but now I don't even know if that's accurate based off of what, you know what I mean? But for me, saying I was a Dean girl meant that I was a Dean fan or a Dean lover or that kind of a thing. So yeah. I don't even think I'm technically was ever using the terms correctly based off of, and again, none of this is scientific. None of this is it's vibes.
It's vibes. Very vibes.
But it's also just another chance to deep dive into what fans and fandom think about these terms. And I'm curious too, based off of our listeners, what's your take on what they mean? Because I've heard a lot of people we've had on the show say that they're coded and stuff. And I'm just
coded.
What does that, what does that mean? So I think when we pick apart our results, I think maybe we can sort of use this post, I'm hoping, as a guide, and I may have Kasey sort of hold my hand and walk me through it because I'm still confused. Not really all that. I was kind of shocked from my results. Not gonna lie. I was kind of like, huh? So I was a little like, But then Kasey was like, oh no, that's you. And I was like, really? And they were
Yeah.
like, yeah. And I was like, okay, I guess. So we're going to kind of work this out together.
I was shocked by my results, but not unhappy.
But happy. Yeah. And I'm still like,
Are you still wrestling? Are you still wrestling with yours? I just don't.
I have not read the description since we like screenshot it, because we were like, we need to screenshot this shit so that we can talk about it later. And so we put it in a document, and then I think maybe just like a couple weeks ago, we're like, we should probably talk about this, make it part of our discussion for an episode. So yeah, it's a part of like the fandom aspect of Supernatural that we like to delve into a little bit, and hopefully you will enjoy the discussion as well.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We're completely blind, the pair of us. We have no idea what any of this means. It's gonna be fun. We're learning together. It is a massive part. Like I'm sure it's a big part of other
fandom. Yeah,
but I don't participate in others. I participate in this one, and it's huge, isn't it? Like people put it in their bios and in their like usernames and stuff. Like if we were still back in like the early 2000s, it would be your MSN like display status. Like you'd put it in your MSN name.
So it wouldn't be, it's not really like being like, am I team this or team that? It's still really not even that. Okay.
No, it's okay. So we're getting a lot, all of this information from Tumblr user Kasey.
We'll link to the post, I think is what we'll do too in the description.
Yeah, I think they've got a master post of all their X-coded Y girl things.
Okay.
And Kasey will stop talking in the third person for a starter. I will dig through those posts and find the direct link to the quiz as well, so y'all can find out what X and Y you are.
Share
it in the Discord, share it on Tumblr, tag us, Idling in the Impala. Someone, an anonymous ask, had said like, what is the difference between X-coded and Y girl? And they, oh my god, they schooled. It was so great. So they say that the notion of coding linguistically is all about communication. Like I am reading verbatim here, so if you're like, holy shit, you sound smart, Case, no. I'm reading from a script, from a post. Literature, being a medium of both art and communication, relies on a shared culture of meaning. At its most basic sense, coding is just sets of symbols laid down by an author that governed by certain rules which permit a reader to infer meaning based on their mutual prior understanding of how these rules work. That's mind-blowing to me, because I don't think I've ever written a character like that in my life.
So more about
maybe this could be one of those things where someone goes, oh my god, I love that you did this, and I'm like, if I tell you it was on purpose, will you believe me?
So really more about like, I'm thinking along the lines of like, when you make a character sheet for somebody that you're writing, like traits, characteristics, different things along those lines maybe would be how you could connect the coding aspect of it, right?
Kasey goes on and says, there are many, many types of code in literature. There's linguistic coding, as in which detonates and connotations, I don't know how the fuck you pronounce it. How do you say that word?
I think it's denotations.
Denotations, there we go. Could do words, guys. I'm an author. Denotations and connotations, I could do that one, are ascribed to which words. There's grammatical coding, as in what sentence structure implies about the subjects they describe. I'm such a hypocrite because I absolutely hated in school studying like poetry and how an author like chose to like break the lines up and like rhyming schemes. I fucking hated that. I really hated it. I hated like any kind of grammatical like line dissection, but I do it. I stylistically use like line format in my work, so I'm an enormous hypocrite.
Yeah, I agree.
Thanks, love you too. There's a literary code of tropes, which I think is this one we're probably all a lot more familiar with, used to quickly convey, e.g., which character is the ingenue, the hero. There are structural and genre codes, for example, the generic, oh, fucking words.
The generic forms of tragedy or comedy.
Well, I don't know, because forms of tragedy or comedy or parody, all of which are signaled to a reader with tropes and words and packaging meant to interact with their expectations. And of course, there are character codes. The character introduced wearing a leather jacket in most forms of Western fiction is being coded with toughness. It's a trope, it's a meme, it's a code. This coding is a supralingual form of communication that relies on shared cultural semantics.
Right, that's it, right? You've got to have something to base it on in order to make the connection. If you've seen a guy in a leather jacket with his hair slicked back, he's got a comb, tucked in, that's like from the 50s and 60s, like that's the bad boy, that's the troublemaker, that's the one that's going to break the rules and stuff like that, where you've got that, upon decades and decades of generational just training in your brain from different media, different stuff you read, that's what the expectation is. So setting you up for all of that.
Like in Supernatural, Dean being quite similar, quite familiar with the Han Solo kind of type, like
the snarky rogue, right? The one with all the clips and stuff. Yeah.
With Sam being maybe a little bit more tragic hero of Luke. I guess that's not particularly something that I ascribe to, but I am of the opinion that there's only one return and it's of the king. So don't ask me about Star Wars, guys. I've seen.
Well, I mean, Kripke has said that. So, Kripke's a Star Wars kid. So he would have that, in his back pocket. Again, he would be using this coding, to kind of like,
but I never,
stamp,
I even coming from Kripke, I've never liked that take of, Sam is the main protagonist and Dean is his sidekick. I don't like that.
Well, I think that's how it started, right? But that's definitely not how it ended. You know what I mean? Or how it like progressed in the show.
Yeah, maybe that was Kripke's idea, but Jensen said no, thank you. Jensen absolutely did not.
Jensen or Dean? I would beg to think maybe Dean.
Maybe Dean.
Jensen was the vessel.
Jensen the scribe for Dean's things.
Yeah.
So, going on. To say someone or something is X-coded. Oh my god, big stretch. Sorry, guys. Guys, you don't understand.
Editing Sandra is going to have a field day.
You can keep it. I was just, big stretch. He's tilting his head in such a way that he squished one of his ears under his head. It's adorable. I love him so much. Okay, moving on. I'm going to be a professional. You might need to leave, bro. I can't work under these conditions. To say someone or something is X-coded, then, is to say that they, either through deliberate self-presentation or intrinsic characterization, communicate X. Maybe they associate themselves with tropes that X is associated. Maybe they don't think much like X, but they act in a way that X acts, or vice versa. Maybe they have some undefinable energy that just somehow screams X in a way that would be apparent to most audiences. Again, it's vibes, guys. It's vibes. Basically, how would this person or concept be written about in a book in shorthand in order to convey them to the audience, what character tropes we should assign them? I can read.
You can.
This can be a combination of internal or external traits, as long as those traits are actively communicated in some fashion. Taking into account what that said. Sorry, I was just looking at the document and Sandra's just put in that this is fine.
No, that's what popped up, I think. That was a part of the...
Oh, is it part of your screenshot?
Yeah, it was a part of the results, I think.
Oh, yeah. I think going way back when, all the times that me and Sandra have talked about, like, the characters that we resonate with and our life experiences and stuff like that, Sandra has always said that she feels like Dean. Like, she, you understand where Dean's at, you understand that's that family sacrifice and that kind of thing, and like, doing what you were told even though you didn't necessarily agree with it, just to keep peace. And I was always like, I'm like Sam, I'm the rogue, I'm the runaway. I seek forgiveness rather than ask permission. I will just fucking leave. I don't, if people are not what I want in my life, I'll just fuck off, like Sam did to Stanford, blah, 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 blah. So that's kind of like, we were really firm in like who we identified with, I think.
Right.
Which might make Sandra's results a bit of a shock.
Well,
not mine, but Sandra's.
I think we should also mention too that this is not just Sam and Dean in this.
No, it's Sam, Dean, and Cass.
Sam, Dean, and Cass. Keep that in mind for later. So
that's important.
So I mean, I don't know. Do you want to say what I was and I'll say what you were? Or should I say what you were? Because first.
Yeah, no, you can say what I was if you want.
So, Kasey, drumroll please, to the surprise of absolutely no one, Sam coded.
Sam coded. Fuck yeah. Did not expect that, to be fair. Didn't expect
But still
it.
not surprised.
Well,
You were hoping. I
was hoping. Yeah, it was like when you... The thing was, it wasn't like those... Which supernatural character are you? BuzzFeed quizzes where you could totally manipulate the answer because one of them is like, what is your favorite meal? And like one of the answers is like, oh, a big greasy cheeseburger with extra onions and pie. And the other one's like, oh, I like kale and smoothies. And then the third one is like, I don't eat. I'm a wave of celestial intent. A multi-dimensional wave of celestial intent. And you'd be like, I wonder which answer is going to give me the boy that I want. This was not like that. There were like really, honestly, quite interesting and questions that kind of... There were no questions where I was like, yes, this is the Sam answer.
Right.
To that question. So we have descriptions of our...
which I think we'll read after because they also incorporate the coded and the girl stuff.
The girl.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Sandra also came out as Sam coded, which was a surprise. That was a surprise. I was expecting Dean coded. I really was.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Sandra came out as Sam coded. But then when we read the blurb of like who you are, I was like, oh, that's you, Sandra. That is fucking you.
I was like, babe, that's all you. I was like, really? Oh yeah. They were like, yeah. I was like, okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think like I said, we'll dive into that part a little bit later. I mean, I am trying to process what that means too from the article where it does say, how would this person be written about in a book in shorthand? So I think I'm trying to figure out those character tropes and how those apply to me more. And I can see that to a certain extent. So I think I still maintain my resonance and my connection with Dean is very much based off of experience and placement in family and choices he's made. But if I pull it back a little bit, can I say I'm somebody that would act very Dean-like in any given situation?
No, you're not a charger in a reckless kind of person.
Yeah.
In any capacity. But again, I do want to just stress this is all vibes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like no part of this is changing like how Sandra feels or who she identifies with. Like you're very, very much you don't act like Dean, but you think like him a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But all vibes. Mm-hmm. I have always been like, again, I don't act like Sam, but I do some of the things that he does. Maybe not for the same reasons, but some things we are liking. And
actions, like maybe actions taken would be maybe for the same reasons. Maybe kind of a thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then moving on to the girl, gender neutral. That's all about fandom. So fangirl is often a diminutive meant to characterize especially female fans as obsessive, childish, or altogether too excited about a niche interest. Boo. Fuck the mainstream media. We're fucking awesome. Fuck you guys. So yeah, for any time we say girl or fangirl, it's totally gender neutral.
Yeah.
Girl is not a fangirl is a state of mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My husband's a fangirl for like WWE and shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So Y-girl then is a term meant to reclaim and embrace the act of wholeheartedly embracing fanish enthusiasm without compunction or embarrassment. But in the necessary abstraction of X-coded Y-girl framing, that doesn't mean you have to be a huge fan of Y in particular. Rather, someone or something who is a Y-girl is a fan of the traits encoded by Y. So let's break that down a little bit, because that was again, if you're thinking, oh my God, Case, you sound so smart. No, I'm really, this person is vastly more intelligent than me. So let's break that down then. So if you are, like, if you do this quiz and you come out with a Y girl that you're not particularly happy with or comfortable with or whatever, again, just vibes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's just break it down. You don't have to like that person. They don't have to be your favorite person. You're a fan of the traits that they are coded by. You're a fan of like who they are.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, talking about things that they might admire about the character, or their, as I'm thinking about I think I'm trying to think back to the value part of it that they mentioned. Like, your actions are shaped by a value. To, again, not science in any way, shape, or form, but me trying to process my result was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Y girl is about guiding lights, things we are drawn to, things we assign value to, things we secretly relish, things we can't put down. If I think about it in that aspect, then it makes a lot more sense to me.
Yeah, that's you very much. The person that you, the Y girl that you got assigned, I very much see a Y that came up because you value the things that that person values. You know,
Yeah.
I see it. I
Yeah.
see it. You don't like even you can be a Y girl even if you don't necessarily want to value that person, but you do, and your life and your actions are shaped by those. Yeah. So like Sandra said, guiding lights, things we're drawn to, assign value to, secretly relish, things we can't put down. So yeah, and then there are examples.
Well, I like the one example about Ruby. Can I read that one? Because
Yeah,
I think
of course
that
you
one's a good example. So in this situation, they would, the author of the post is saying that Ruby is Dean coded and a Sam girl. So the toughness, the leather, the stubborn absolutism of believing she's in the right, the charisma, the devil may care persona studded with moments of emotional vulnerability. Some of those tropes are internal, some external, some physical, some not, but they're all about communication. Very interesting if you're of the Wincest camp and you're all about the fact that Sam ends up with Ruby in season 4, gives you a whole bunch of things to untangle if you're going to go that route. Ruby is a Sam girl. She is ruthlessly, brutally focused on the big picture. She's more than willing to personally sacrifice pieces of herself to get to her end game. The costs and the morality of what she'll do to get there are completely irrelevant to the greater good. She is self-contained and internal. She doesn't value loyalty or personal love or external reward or even some far-off aspirational moral good. She wants the world shaped a certain way, and if she succeeds, then nothing else matters. These are Sam-associated values, not to be confused with Sam, the character's values. That's an interesting way to break it down, I think. It gives you like more of like, okay, this is how you can look at it.
The shorthand that's provided as well is a Dean-coded Sam girl communicates themselves with Dean tropes, but is drawn to Sam tropes, whereas the opposite is true for a Sam-coded Dean girl. But I think that's really, you know, like how you present and communicate yourself versus what you seek out in your coded / girl.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. When we got to the second part of that, she wants the world shaped a certain way, and if she succeeds, nothing else matters. I was like, I would like to not be called out quite so clearly in this manner, please. Now this post does go on to categorize a couple of other people from different fandoms. It is not a fandom that I will speak about, and certainly not on this podcast. But again, links in the description. Go read it. That's totally fine. So should we jump back to our personal?
Yeah.
Thing
Yeah.
is, do you want to go first then? Because yours is a little bit. You had more trouble with yours, I think.
Yeah. So I was a cast girl. And I think I was kind of like, because again, I'm always focusing on the way I initially like interpret or like, you know, calling myself a Dean girl means a certain thing. I would definitely say I in no way feel that I fangirl, you know, over Cass, but then pulling it back. And I think that really that last sentence about, you know, that a Y girl is about guiding lights. So a Cass girl is about guiding lights, things we are drawn to, things we assign value to, things we secretly relish, things we can't put down. Then I'm like, okay, maybe I get it a little bit more in terms of why I maybe like fit that designation in the quiz. Yeah.
And I just want to say as well, like ships aside completely, taking ships out of it, just purely in the basis of the canon, Cass is like one of Dean's biggest fans. You know, they fight and it's brutal in some parts, but there is a true love there. You know, ships completely aside, we're not talking about romantic love or anything like that, but there is a true love there from Cass to Dean and from Dean to Cass as well.
Well, yeah. You
know, you can't say that they don't love and they don't care for each other and they're not close.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, I was thinking too, like the value of like, you know, again, if you kind of go with, you know, I think the soldier part of it too kind of like mimics Dean.
Resonates with Dean. Yeah.
And,
in
you know,
that
he was always, you know, he was one of, you know, God's best soldiers, and he always kind of followed the plan until he was exposed to or given an opportunity to see something different, and then thought, no, there's something else that's greater or more important that I should strive for, or, you know, that I want to see happen, and making, you know, lots of mistakes along the way, but, you know, that's all of our boys, I think, to some extent. But yeah, that guiding light of initially, like, I have a job to do, but then knowing that's not the job I now feel is valued, or I have something else to me that's more important. I mean, he talks about it all the time. Sam and Dean being that beacon of humanity for him. And I think that he changes over, you know, what, like the 11 seasons he's on the show. He's a starkly different character in the beginning than what he ends up as. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Do you want to read out? And he loves Dean. And, you know, it's got to be that way.
Yeah.
Do you want to read out your blurb, or do you want me to read it out?
I can read it out. So my result was Sam coded cast girl. You have a strong sense of how the world ought to be, but you have no overriding vision or big master plan. You take life day by day to fix the little things you can. You have very few close relationships, but those you have, you treasure dearly.
That's me.
You support your few friends unconditionally, but you tend to be emotionally distant with acquaintances. That is very true. You may be a bit of a pushover. You often find yourself put in the position of mediator. Yes, please. You loathe conflict. Also, yes, please. So you avoid it unless absolutely necessary. But once you're truly angry, you'll stop at nothing to see justice done. You're a diplomat and an advocate. You are deeply idealistic, but you're nevertheless strongly grounded in a pragmatic sense of achieving what you can. Philosophy is action. Action is philosophy. You like meditation and self-improvement, and have probably done at least one juice cleanse. Yes, I have.
There you go.
Both friends and strangers describe you as quietly dependable. If you can't see the trauma can't see you. That's just science. Holotypes include Sam Winchester, BJ Honeycutt from MASH, which I remember watching very, very long time ago, Jean-Luc Picard, Star Trek The Next Generation, I don't know how do you say that, Aang? A-T-L-A?
Aang from Avatar The Last Airbender.
Okay. Luke Skywalker and Nico D'Angelo, Percy Jackson.
Now, obviously, y'all on the other side of this only know certain parts of Sandra because this is the public internet, but I can tell you as someone who is very close to Sandra, all of that is accurate. Every last fucking bit of it. I remember asking you, I was like, have you done a juice cleanse when you first shared that? And you were like, I have done a juice cleanse, yes.
Yeah, it's really interesting, like, hearing that, especially the unconditional, like, part of it, you know, because I don't feel the benefit of giving a lot of myself to people right away. So I do have, like, those circles of people, you know, you kind of have to get into my circle, and then you unfortunately get all of it, you know, whether you want it or not.
Nah, it's cozy in here though. She's fucking sweet.
Yeah.
Hashtag best circle.
So I guess it makes me a pushover. Yeah, I think the mediator stuff I definitely do all
100%.
the time. In a lot of different aspects of my life, but I cannot stand conflict. It's just not my bag.
Mm-hmm.
But push
and
me
as well.
Yeah,
push you. I've been on the other side of Sandra pushed, and it's scary, y'all. She is a scary lady. She is a scary lady. And like something that massively sort of spoke out to me is you take life day by day to fix the little things that you can. There have been so many conversations when, you know, it's probably the tism, but I have a very strong sense of justice, and things can be quite black and white to me, you know, and I try, I can see the grey outs and stuff, but sometimes I'm like, no, this is just wrong. And it'll be like some huge, like, big world issue that I have absolutely no hope of, you know, doing anything about. And Sandra's like, babe, though, like, could you just bring this back down to the fucking level that you are capable of dealing with things with? And I can be quite, like, big picture, whereas Sandra's like, just do a little bit every day. Just do a little bit to be better and make better every day. And that's all you can do.
Yeah.
And it's a really refreshing and really grounding sense of perspective to be given, because you can sometimes get so, like, this has happened a lot in the course of, I very much struggle to separate art from artist. So if an artist, and that could be any medium, does something that I find like morally reprehensible, I really fucking struggle with it. And I like, it causes a lot of problems for me in my enjoyment of that, you know, art, media, whatever it is. And Sandra's been like, can we just bring this back down to brass tacks, please? The world is on fire. This really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. And sometimes I need that. Because I get so wrapped up in like, oh my God, this is disgusting. And Sandra's like, babe, no, stop it.
Because I think it just comes back to like, what can you control? You know, and I think you have to realize at a certain point, there are little tiny things, again, that you can do. I've talked about my husband with this a lot, as the world is on fire right now. Case in point, today is the day of No King's protest. If you have not figured it out by now, we are bleeding heart liberals. Get over yourselves. But in that context of it,
I have a new thing to add to that.
Okay.
I'm a lefty liberal pronoun pillock snowflake. Okay. I got a new name from a friend on Facebook. I was like, I proudly identify as a pronoun pillock.
But in that situation right now, my husband, who's, you know, right now is out protesting, and my mind's a little, again, the world is on fire, and every day something's trying to blow us all up. I've been, you know, trying to get him sort of into the mindset of, you know, he's very angry. He wants to see change. He wants to see something happen big scale. And I'm like, sometimes all you can do is try to connect with one person, and it's not going to happen right away, and it might not make a difference today, but you just seeing if there's a moment or an opportunity to connect with one person might make that difference. That's what you can control. And I think in terms of being Sam coded, you know, that to me is a lot of like what I think he does to sort of bring Dean back to reality. But granted, they both balance each other out in those situations. So it's a push and pull and a tug, you know, like they both go off the rails for different things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to take them out of the context of each other.
But I think the control aspect of it, and not, you know, mediating, I think can be a good thing that Sam does in certain circumstances. You know, if you switch if you say family dynamics, who was the mediator in that? I would say Dean. It was Dean. You know, but if you take it outside of that, you know, I can see certain situations where he is put into the position of, what can I do right now? How do I take it one step at a time to get to my goal? So
even if bringing Ruby back into it, obviously Dean and Ruby really butted heads, and Sam was the one in the middle going, look, I don't necessarily like this either, but she can help. And, you know, that kind of trying to mediate and trying to bridge the gap and trying to find common space, you know, and just trying to growing up with, you know, John being quite explosive. I can imagine, and like Dean having to step in, and you don't see that when you're a child, but as you get older, and if you've grown up in that kind of volatile environment, you can then crave and desire and strive to be the calming influence and the person that doesn't let it explode like that.
Yeah,
I mean, equally, you can go the Dean route and fly off the handle at any given provocation, but it's really easy to see how Sam comes to that place based on what he saw growing up.
And I mean, I guess like with the cast girl part of it, again, I think it's just a matter of, once you're exposed to something different, you know, it doesn't necessarily register with you right away, but I think it has an effect, and it changes how you value things, because he wasn't fully on board with the boys right away. You know, he was after, this is the plan. We go with what God wants. It takes exposure to different people, different ways of life, different attitudes, different thoughts, you know. And I think Cass kind of was almost like that spongy part, you know, and I think because he wasn't around humanity, you know, very often, I think he started to take things in because he had to at a more like rapid pace, and it started to affect he wasn't isolated, I guess. Like, he was no longer just a soldier with a mission. He had to get down into the territory where he was, you know, having to be a part of it, and that gave him a broader sense of what's important, and it's not just the mission, it's the fallout.
It humanizes as well, doesn't it? You know, when you're that high above something, then it's numbers and it's statistics and it's probabilities. But when you're on the ground, I've said this to Sandra a lot of times. It's very difficult to hate someone who's standing in front of you. People are easy to hate, dislike, whatever. It's easy to do that in the abstract when they're, you know, a screen name on the computer or, you know, a name in the paper or whatever. But it's quite difficult to maintain that level of ambient hatred when someone's standing in front of you. There are exceptions to that rule as well. Like I have never laid eyes in person on persons who shall not be named who is doing a big wank today. But I resolutely know that if I were to find myself standing in front of him eye to eye, my hatred would not be tempered by that. I would, if anything, it would be inflamed by that situation. But, you know, like, because that's the whole kind of vibe behind like keyboard warriors and stuff like that. It's very easy when someone is just a name on a screen and not a human being. And, you know, unfortunately seeing that tactic being deployed across the world at the moment of dehumanizing groups of people to make it easier to do a massive fascism at them. Moving on. We're not a political podcast. We're just a little distracted today.
Oh goodness. Yeah.
We're just distracted.
I think overall, you know, reading it, I was like, okay, I guess.
Yeah, it took you a little bit to come to peace with it, didn't you? You were like, but where's Steve?
Because I was like, but then again, like looking at it too in a certain way, like, you know, there's so many, these are two characters whose lives are really entrenched with Dean in no other way to get out of it. So it does kind of make sense in a way, like to say I'm Sam coded. You
do not communicate in the methods that Dean uses to communicate. You are not loud and explosive. And, you know, you're also, like, I'd like to think slightly more in touch with your feelings than Dean is. So when shit goes wrong, like, you can brood. If you choose to brood, you can brood.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not, like, your go-to. You know, you do tend to be more forthwith communication and things like that.
I want to eventually have a conversation. I don't think Dean really wants to ever really have a conversation. He does like to try to avoid it as much as possible.
Dean just wants to rug sweep everything, and you're not, you know, you might need a minute to get like everything back in line, but you want to talk about it.
Yeah, but I still think he does, like, he's got those moments where he just has to. It has to finally come out because it's like the dam breaking, you know, and it's like when he's finally able to do it, he can be very communicative when he wants to, but more often than not for the really hard things or the things he just wants to avoid. He just wants to avoid
when he's forced into it. He won't. He has to be backed into a corner to open that up.
Or it has to be a quiet moment, right? Like, it really has to be like where it's calm and he gets to just be for a little while. You know, the person that I think he wants to just be, then sometimes it trickles out and it comes out and you get to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then equally, you know, you don't seek that kind of explosive nature as well. You want someone who's going to meet you and talk about shit and not brood. And
Dean wants a fight a lot of times.
Yeah, you don't want someone who is constantly jonesing for a fight. So yeah, despite, you know,
we have to give a little Dean love in this since, you know, it's not happening with any of her.
Well,
any of our results.
Like we said, it's all vibes anyway. And if you want to call yourself a Y girl just because you really like that person, you fucking can do. You know, it's all vibes, man. It's all vibes.
I will say the one thing that I think is very like value that I feel that I have with Dean, and I guess you could say with Cass as well, being a Cass girl, is the found family aspect and how that becomes very important over what we've been assigned, right? Like, I think that's important. I think Cass had to give up a lot for his found family. And I think that's something that I think, you know, maybe Dean hasn't done as much. Dean, I think, still focuses a lot on the family aspect of, like, you know, his nuclear family, but still has broadened his idea of what family is, you know?
Yeah, so. Absolutely. Is it my go now?
It's
Yay.
your go now, yes.
Yay! So, to the surprise of literally fucking nobody, I got Sam coded Sam Girl. And my little meme, you get like a little meme when you get your results. So Sandra's is the dog in the room on fire, and then it's just like, this is fine. Mine was the old dude shrugging that just goes, guess I'll die. which I very, very much enjoyed. This surprised me. I wasn't expecting, in the vein of what Kasey had said about like coded versus girl and stuff like that and what it means. I wasn't expecting this, but I was really fucking happy when it arrived. I'm like, yes, I communicate like someone. I'm drawn to sound. Yes. So I will read my blurb out. So mine is gifted kid brackets diagnosis. You were and maybe still are an outsider, and because of that, you've had to learn to be self-sufficient and confident in your own abilities. You are a fiercely independent overachiever, and you've fought hard for every inch. Somewhere inside you is a hot, long, simmering rage born from the injustice of the world, but it's buried very deep. You'd be more than content to be alone for long periods of time. You sometimes have crippling perfectionism, sometimes, love. If you aren't succeeding, it's your fault for not trying hard enough. You'll pick every kind of intellectual fight and throw yourself into playing devil's advocate just to improve your understanding.
Oh my God, you say that all the time. Devil's advocate.
Yeah, I do. And I do throw myself into every kind of intellectual fight and discussion because I'm like, please, I want to understand. You see the gray areas in everything. So again, my way of thinking, primarily because of my autism, can be very black and white, but I can always see the gray areas. I just don't tend to linger in them. And be like, yeah, no, I can see how this is ambiguous, but I have picked a side and that is where I lie on the issue. You're aggressively big picture. You want to. No, you must change the universe, but you don't need to take credit for it. Nah, maybe. Your few friends might describe you as callous. Now, I don't think Sandra would describe me as callous, but I think Dreamer would describe some of my takes as callous, but that's because we talk about different things. Would you describe me as callous occasionally?
Here's what I think too. I think sometimes like the exterior, but I feel this is more a protection thing for you. I kind of get that vibe that sometimes you do it as a form of like protection in some ways.
Yeah, that's true. But you're just being realistic. You've got a harsh, clear-eyed sense of the world. No pain, no gain. And really, if you do the math, no single individual is all that important in the grand scheme of things. So holotypes for this include Kevin Tran from Supernatural, Jean Valjean from Les Miserables, Emperor Palpatine. I don't like that association. We'll have less of the evil Sith Lord, thank you. Although it does say Emperor Palpatine and not Darth Palpatine, so maybe it's Emperor Palpatine when he's still pretending to be a good guy.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Neville Longbottom from the fandom that shall not be mentioned. Frodo Baggins. Now that's important because I identify with Frodo Baggins so fucking hard. Like it is not even funny.
Okay.
Dirk Strider from Homestuck, which I've never watched.
Yeah.
And Luke Castellan from Percy Jackson, which I've also. But I was like, Kevin, Jean Valjean, Neville, Frodo. What do you mean, Emperor Palpatine? What?
Well, the Kevin one was really interesting too because it's like
Samuel Jackson. Nobody electrocutes Samuel L. Jackson. He's the coolest lightsaber.
Aww.
That is one of the Star Wars movies I've seen.
No, but the Kevin Tran thing I think really stuck out to me too because like in terms of like the perfectionism and then wait, this is not what I signed up for. Like this is not what I want to do and kind of really pushing it. But then once he was entrenched in it, he was in it. You know what I mean? And I think the aggressively big picture, you have a way that you want the world to be, and that's how it should be. You know, you don't understand why things are the way they are, and you will have none of it. Thank you very much. It needs to it needs to just get in the bin, you know, kind of a thing.
In the bin. I would be a horrific supervillain. Horrific. Because I would set out with all of the best of intentions to make the world a better place, but I would be utterly blinded by what I consider a better place, and I would be a horrible supervillain.
Well, don't they usually say there's a really fine line between a superhero and a supervillain? Anyway, I think
my favorite of that is the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and that's like to quote Gandalf. I would use this ring to do good, but through me, it would wield an unknowable power. I'm paraphrasing. I don't think it's unknowable, But it's like Gandalf would use the One Ring to do good and bring good to the world, but it would corrupt him and it would, it would channel the bad parts of him. That's very much me.
And Kasey is self-sufficient to an extreme level because
not if I call it extreme.
You've had to learn to be that way. And I think when it comes to accepting help, you're kind of like, no, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. But yes, I think you are very independent. Again, I think through life in general.
Yeah, that comes from that's an inherent lack of trust in everybody.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because my friends and my family and my spouse don't deserve that. But I've put trust in other people to help me and been let down so many times that well, fucking do it myself. Fuck you guys.
And I think, if you're just thinking about it in terms of Sam, he is very much an overachiever in his mind. He's got to be, I think, when he sets his mind to it, kind of like Kevin, you've got to be the best at whatever it is you're going to choose to do at the time, and you can't veer from that. That was very much, I think, in the pilot, he was on a path and he was not keen to get thrown off it. And then...
Yeah, he had his plan and that's what he was going to do. Yeah. And that was... Yeah, and like that, you fought hard for every inch. Enormous, Sam. He lost everything for that path, Yeah.
And I would argue, too, that, Sam can be callous. I think in terms of... At times, I think he can be callous to the people that he is closest to because of his, path or his, no, this is what has to happen, and not thinking about how that's going to affect the people close to him. Again, Dean is that way as well. But I'm sure in these situations, a lot of these characters shared some of the same traits, right? And I think that can be a thing that both the boys have, in them, is that when they have a goal, they're not worried about what the end result is going to be and how that's going to affect people, It's
just getting to it. And that's it has to be this way. And we will move whatever is in the way to get there. And whatever happens afterwards doesn't matter. Closing the gates of hell. It would have had massive repercussions, but that didn't matter. They were just we can get rid of the demon problem, Thinking about the playing devil's advocate, the one that comes to mind, because it's from a blooper, sorry, is when Dean is angry at Mary for working with the British men of letters, and Sam's like, but it's Mum, she must have a good reason for working with those Leo Pleurodons. They're magical Leo Pleurodons. But you know what I mean? He's right there to be like, well, there must be a reason, and it's, we just don't see it, but it's, it's got to be there, and that kind of thing. And another one that comes to mind is it's in season 3 when I think it's Benson, the immortal dude that's been killing people for their body parts.
Okay. The doctor? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I don't remember his name, but I'm with you on that. Time is on my side. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. And Dean's like, this is ridiculous. I'm not what? You'll die and I'll be on my own. And he's like, well, I'll take it too. Whatever it is. Yeah. And he's just like, no, this is he's going to play every angle to achieve what it is he wants. Comes into my mind, and like we said, the Ruby thing, the playing devil's advocate, the being the mediator between those two. Yeah, if you're not succeeding, it's your fault for not trying hard enough. Oh, I beat myself over the head with that stick. But also Sam, and that comes into a lot of the things that have happened to Sam with his mind and his body.
Yeah.
And how it's been used, without his consent and permission, and these things keep happening to him, and he internalizes it as it must be his fault. There must be something he's doing or not doing.
Yeah, but crippling perfectionism is you all over, too.
Yeah, that is me.
Yeah, that's you.
I don't like being called out like that. that is very much me. I will say, though, I would take credit for changing the universe. If I could dismantle capitalism, I'd want a statue at least. Which I think is how capitalism starts up again, actually.
After it gets,
I just want a statue, or I want to be I want my name in bold in a history book. I'd want to be named somewhere for
or maybe just a footnote. I wouldn't mind just being a footnote.
I don't want to be. I don't want to be a footnote. No, no, I want to be. I want to be a chapter title. That's what I want to be.
Maybe that's how I'm a little bit Sam coded. Is I'm like, as long as, as long as I was like, mentioned as being part of it, I think I would be fine. In that regard. But
that ties into Ruby enormously, doesn't it?
Yeah.
She was like at the end and she's like, I was the only one that believed and now it's happened and she's fine to die. It doesn't matter because she set out what she achieved to set out and it doesn't matter if she's remembered. And I'm like, no, I want a title in a book. That's what I want. I want a title in a book.
Yeah. But I mean, I think overall it was
interesting.
It was interesting. And like I said, I'm actually really curious if anybody gets like Dean coded, Dean girl. Like I want to see what that thing says. Like I would just be interested in seeing like who gets what the description is. And then having reflections from people who took the quiz. Yeah, I guess. Or this is like, I don't really agree with this. Again, it's all vibes. There's nothing scientific. But it's just weird. It's kind of like I was having a conversation with Ted yesterday and we got on the topic of astrology and he's like, you kind of believe that stuff? I said, I think there's a little bit to everything. And I think that some things, there's reasoning behind it all. And when you can find certain things that connect the dots, it just makes you go, huh, there's something
astrology,
to things.
Star signs and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, we're different people there. I think they're a self-fulfilling prophecy.
No, but I think I've like over the years of like not knowing about stuff and then reading about it after going, huh, that's interesting. That is kind of me, again, like having never like done a quiz like this. And again, not scientific, but I think there's something to everything.
I am of the opinion, things like that, things like astrology, I personally believe it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like if you read your star sign in the paper and it says you're going to have a shit day, then you're going into your day with the thought that it's going to be shit. And then it self-fulfills that, doesn't it?
Yeah, no. But it's like, I'm not one of those people that would have ever, like, I wouldn't look at that and, like, then dictate the rest of my day. Like, I'm just talking about more of, like, the researching about, all of those different aspects of it. That I find interesting.
But,
yeah.
Yeah, no, all that to say, the broader scope of it and, like, the planetary alignment and all that kind of thing, I find it really interesting. And I am of the opinion that it's as good a thing as anything else to believe in. I'm not gonna yuck anybody's yum about it. If someone wants to tell me how Venus was in retrograde at the time of their birth, I'll listen. I'll be like, tell me more. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, educate me. Like, I want to know this because why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why not? And there's no scientific evidence to say that the planets do have an effect on our lives, but there's equally no scientific evidence to say that they don't. So who fucking knows? Mercury being in
retrograde.
I only know retrograde. I know there's other ones, but I only know retrograde.
I do too.
Mercury being in retrograde might be why you didn't get that promotion. We don't fucking know. It's all batshit, like it's just as valid a thing to believe in as anything else that we can choose to believe in.
Considering what a lot of people are believing in nowadays, I'm going to go with, hey, if it's not hurting anybody and you feel like, you're getting something out of it, you go for it. That's my take on that one.
Yeah. If like whatever brings you comfort, as long as that comfort is not at the harm or detriment or expense of anybody else, you do you.
Yeah. Because again, my husband was like listening to me, but he was like, nah. I was like,
no,
okay.
that's totally fine. This is a Family Guy thing that Peter meets God and he's asking questions about what gets you sent to hell, and God's like, nope. And one of the questions is, what about those people who say they're not religious but they're spiritual? And God's like, straight to hell. But I'm one of those wankers. I'm like, I'm not religious, but I consider myself a little bit spiritual. just a little bit, because I can't genuinely commit to atheism, because if I truly got to a place where I was able to be comfortable and go, this is it. This is the one thing that we do, and after this, there's nothing. I'd throw myself in front of a train. What is the fucking point of that? No disrespect, no shade to anybody that truly is atheist, truly believes in nothing. That's cool. That's if that works for you, that's brilliant. Makes me want to start playing League of Legends again. Oh, there's a new one of those. I could have sent it to you. It's very funny. The eunuch will be hearing about one of them. The eunuch will be hearing about this is one of them. It's very funny. Okay. But yeah, I don't ascribe to organized religion. I don't like. I can't reconcile the idea of an all-knowing, all-powerful, omnipotent god with gestures vaguely at everything.
So basically, we're saying don't take this quiz and then decide this is how you're going to live your life. If it doesn't.
Yeah, don't take this as your new religion. Don't be like, I'm a Sam-coded Sam girl. I'm going to burn it all down
For
in the name of devil's advocacy.
Entertainment purposes only, but we just think it was a fun little like. Once we got the results, we were like, we should talk about this. And again, if you're so inclined, you want to take the quiz, we'll have links in the description. If you want to share with us what you got. I know I would be interested in hearing results and what you think of those results. And if they, make sense, or if they're just like a pile of crap, like they don't, this is just the stupidest thing I've ever read. We want to hear it. We want to hear what you think about it. Yeah.
Yep.
On top of that, we're going to take big deep breaths because it's a busy day. There's a lot going on. But we're going to try
also, Jinx has returned.
So there will be some cooing and just sweet loves.
Just a baby man.
Baby man. Just a baby man. But we should probably wrap up this episode. So again, my tummy is saying, Sandra, you better wrap up this episode. So we're going to wrap up this episode and we're going to say thank you for listening and let us know what you thought. You can email us at idlingintheimpala@gmail.com. You can comment on Spotify in the Q&A section, leave a YouTube comment, join our Discord and chat with fellow idlers and us in real time. Check out our merch store, which is another fun way to show your support. You can find details for everything on our website. That's idlingintheimpala.com. Want to fuel our supernatural road trip? Consider joining us on Ko-fi for as little as $1 a month. We have perks to go along with different membership tiers and would love to have you along for the ride, no matter what coding or what girl you are.
Yeah, we don't discriminate based on coding, girls, or religion. Speaking of perks, we've got special shout-outs for some of our Ko-fi members. From our Shotgun Picks and Music tier, we've got Runaway Dreamer, Crowley's Mistress, Sam and Dean 76, and Elia. From our own Mrs. Butters tier, we've got Charlie. Thanks for picking the tunes in the car and keeping the lights on in the bunker. Support like yours keeps our podcast going. Thanks. Don't forget, you can always support us for free by liking, commenting, subscribing on YouTube, and following, rating, sharing on audio platforms. Engagement like that really helps us with the algorithms. All hail their benevolence. As always, we have the causes we support in the description. So for me, you have LGBTQ plus talking charities. From Sandra, you have mental health charities. And of course, the main causes that we are highlighting, championing, spotlighting are World Central Kitchen and Doctors Without Borders. If you want to know more about these causes, why we're supporting them, what they mean to us, check out idlingintheimpala.com. There's a page there called Causes Cause with all the details. So with that, we will say thank you for joining us in the back seat, and we will see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.